Wouldn't it be great if you had someone that knew exactly what you were doing wrong? Okay, a foul shot is pretty easy to see whether you got it, or you did it right, or you did it wrong. But what about life decisions? What about a decision of where to go out to eat tonight? Very big life decision. What about a decision of what movie to watch or what book to read in your free time? Very important decision. What about a decision about whom to marry or whom to divorce? Well, that's not such a big deal. What about a decision about what occupation to do? What about a decision about how to bring up your children? Life decisions that your children face. How do you handle that? And wouldn't it be great if you had your own personal Navi? That, you say, do me a favor, give a call to Hashem and let me know what to do. Wouldn't that be great?
People have them. They go to Kabbalists and they think, maybe they know, or a rabbi that think they have, that are priests and have private conversations with God. Unfortunately.
So some people seek that so strongly today that they go to, not to Nevi'im, but to other people who claim to have a direct line and try to get that information. It's really, you ever see these card readers, tarot card readers, and fortune tellers? You think people go to them nuts, right? Why should they go to them? But people are looking for help in making these life decisions. It's very anxiety-ridden. Does anyone here have a decision they're facing? I'm not going to ask you what it is, but a life decision they're facing that they would like to have direct divine intervention about what to do with it? If anyone does not have, please raise your hand. Okay? Okay, majority are facing kind of life decisions and things that they would like to have help on. And help is on the way. No.
Well, this hand is hurting
now. Now, the point is, it doesn't always help to have a Navi. And we're going to look at a passage in Yirmiyah and use that as a springboard to see how we can analyze our own life events and events that have happened in recent and current history. So, we're in Tisha B'Av, the day of national accounting, the day where we improve ourselves as a people, the day in which we're going to, today, use this time that we have and the rest, really fleeting hours of the day to think about where we should be going as a nation, and also individually how we should decide. Okay, so I'd like to, we all know the story of Yirmiyah. Just in broad strokes, a teenager, he gets a call from God. Yirmiyah, I want you to go and to change the Jewish people. Your job is to destroy, uproot, smash, and completely eradicate, and then to build and to plant. Yirmiyah says, uh-oh. He says, me? I'm just a young man. I'm just a young boy, teenager. He says, don't worry, whatever you send, I'm going to send you. Whatever I send you, you're going to do. Don't be afraid. It'll be okay. And he has a very difficult life. People try to kill him. People slap him in the face. People punish him. They try to have him murdered and executed. He's put in jail. And he goes around all the time saying, the Babylonians are coming. The Babylonians are coming. Repent your ways. Don't do avodah zarah. Treat people ethically, and so on and so forth. And what happens? The Khurban happens. The destruction of the temple happens. Okay. 40 years of work. He's telling people it's going to happen. The Babylonians destroy the temple, and that's what happens. What happens after? And for me, this is one of the most tragic stories of the Tanakh, more tragic than the story of Moshe Rabbeinu. One of the most tragic stories. This man works 40 years. He put up with everything, and now the event that he tried to forestall, that he warned everyone, it happens. Now you would think, okay, what happens now? And that's the point we're going to look at. Please open up your... if those who want to follow along can, you don't need to, because I'm not going to read a lot inside, and I'll just give you the basic ideas. But if you want to, I'm going to start from chapter... the end of his life, after the Khurban, After Tzidkiyahu is taken and his eyes are gouged out, the last thing he sees are his 2 children slaughtered in front of his eyes, and then his eyes are gouged out so that the last thing he saw in his life are his children being slaughtered in front of him. Nebuchadnezzar appoints Gedaliah ben Achikam to become the king. Anyone hear of Gedaliah ben Achikam before? You're shaking your head. What's your name?
Susan.
Susan. Where do you know of Gedaliah ben Achikam?
Son Gedaliah, because he was murdered.
Right. Okay. And what led to his murder?
He was at a party and they weren't happy with his, I guess, like ruling, and then they killed him. They murdered him.
So Gedaliah is appointed. That's more or less correct. The party part is a little bit of deal slipping into it, but Gedaliah ben Achikam is appointed king, appointed as governor after Tzidkiyahu is killed, and people start to come back to Jerusalem. People start to say, okay, this is it. The temple was destroyed, but now we can rebuild. We don't have to go to Galut. And people start coming out of their holes from all different places where they were hiding. And Gedaliah ben Achikam can be the next stage of development. Okay, we suffered the Khurban, but there's no Galut. And a fellow, one of his advisors, Yochanan ben Kareach, tells Gedaliah, there's a guy trying to kill you. And he's going to kill you. Yishmael, one of your advisors, who is from the king's family, is out to kill you. And Yochanan ben Kareach tells him, you know what? I could take care of him. In other words, let me take care of him first, let me kill him. And Gedaliah says, no, we'll have none of that over here. You're lying. Fatal words. Ishmael ben Netanyah comes upon with 10 men, kills Gedaliah ben Achikam, kills all the people that were with him, kills the governor appointed by Babylonia. There's a group of people coming to Jerusalem to offer sacrifices, but their clothes are torn. He kills them also, and he takes a lot of people captive. All the people that started coming back to Jerusalem, he takes them captive. And Yochanan ben Kareach and Yonatan go after him, get the people back, and Yirmiyahu is in this group of people. And now they're faced with a dilemma. What should we do now? We're here, the remnant of Israel, in Israel. Should we stay here and not go to Galut? Or is Babylon going to come now with a vengeance and kill us all? And they ask Yirmiyahu, tell us what to do. You're the prophet. We want to know what to do. And now Yirmiyahu says, I'll tell you, but you have to follow what I say. Just all I'm asking, if you're asking me, I'll tell you, but you have to follow what I say. And they say, okay, whatever you say, we'll follow. And just to quote the exact words, they say, Im tov ve'im ra. I'm looking at the end of chapter 42, verse 6. If you have it in front of you. Well, I don't think you have it in front of you. The end of chapter 42, verse 6, if you have it. Chapter 42, verse 6. Im tov ve'im ra. Whether it's good or whether it's bad. B'kol Adonai v'henu asher anachnu sholchim otcha elav nishma. We're going to listen to what God says to you. Hashem, our God, we're sending you to Him. We're going to listen in order that it should be good for us when we listen to God's voice. Okay? So what do you expect? The Navi is going to say what the answer is, to go or not to go, and then they're going to listen to him. First part of the tragedy. 10 days go by. I always wonder, why 10 days? Why 10 days? Give an answer. It's either 50-50. But 10 days go by. It shows that Yirmiyahu wasn't just thinking about it. He wasn't just giving an answer off the cuff. He was waiting for Dvar Hashem. Waiting for Hashem to give him the answer of what they should do. It's a very critical question. And it's to wipe out the rest of the Jewish people in Israel. After 10 days, Yirmiyahu gives an answer. Remember, the question is, do we flee to Egypt? or do we stay here? Do we flee to Egypt because we're afraid of the Babylonians coming in and killing us because we killed their governor? They're not going to make the fine distinction that was Ishmael ben Netanyahu. Or they think it's the Jews killed our governor, we're going to kill them. Or do we stay here? Yirmiyah, after 10 days, says, chapter 42, verse 8. And he calls Yochanan ben Kareach, the son of Kareach, and all the officers with him, and all the people, from the youngest to the oldest, and he says, this is what Hashem says. And now here you have an answer. A national life question, what to do. Here you have an answer. This is what Hashem says, Ko amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael, that you sent me to him in order to pray for you and to ask what to do. If you stay in this land, you're going to be built and not destroyed. I'm going to plant you and and you won't be uprooted, because I am consoling you of the tragedy that has befallen you. Don't be afraid of Melech Bavel. Don't be afraid of anything. And he goes on trying to convince him to stay. He goes on and on. Long speech. We're not going to read it all. Look at chapter 43, verse 1. And when Yirmiyah finished talking, now here's the greatest thing. You have a Navi, tells you what to do. It should be so clear. In Israel now we're deciding, or not me personally, but they're deciding whether to bomb Iran or not. I was in the loop, but they took me out. They're deciding whether to bomb. It's a very important national decision. I mean, you look back at what Menachem Begin did to the Osirak reactor in Iraq, and how he was criticized and castigated for that event. We decided Saddam Hussein is a Majnun, we have to take him out. And they took out the reactor over there. And then 10 years later, Haig tells Begin, Israel, thanks Israel for what was done, even though at the time they were widely criticized for bombing the nuclear reactor. Now we have to decide, should we bomb Iran or not? Imagine the Navi tells you the answer. Do it. Or not do it. That would be great. The same situation. The Navi told them, stay. This is the end of the destruction. You're going to be built. What do they tell him? When Yirmiyah finished talking to the nation, saying what Hashem told him to say, and Azariah and Yochanan and all the people, verse 2 now, they say to Yirmiyah, Sheker ata medaber, you're lying, God didn't send you. We're going to Egypt, end of the story. We're going to Egypt. And they take the remnant of the people of Israel, whatever's left in Jerusalem, take them down to Egypt, take Yirmiyah along with them to Egypt. The end. The end of, there's no temple, almost, or no Jews in Israel. It's the end. What happens? So, here we have the situation where Yirmiyah, the prophet, told you what to do beforehand. But now, equally important was the prophet saying, what happened? What did we just go through? I mean, not knowing what to do is a problem we all face. But knowing what happened, we more or less, it's easy to know what happened in our own life, what happened. But what is the meaning of what happened? There's history, which talks about what happened, the events, and maybe the cause and effect of the events. But there's something that the Tanakh deals in. It's not only history, but the meaning of history. The fancy word, anyone know it? Okay, so I could say anything. Yeah. It's like, the word philosophy, right? Historiosophy. I can't even say it right. Historiosophy means that the analysis of history. Why? So now let me ask you a question. What's that?
Show you to make up that word.
No, I heard Rabbi Leviton say it, but he makes up words also.
The native word.
What? If I had to ask everyone here about the event that happened, destruction of the first temple. Why did the first temple destroyed? Anyone?
Sinat. That's all they say, Sinat.
Second temple, Sinat Chinam. First temple?
Idol worship.
That's one.
Corruption.
Avodah Zarah.
Commercialization of the.
Avodah Zarah is the basic reason that the Hachamim give for that, and it's one of the reasons that Yirmiyah brings. That the temple was destroyed. Yirmiyah tells us the temple was destroyed because people thought they can lie, cheat, steal, commit adultery.
Right, there was a difference.
And then buy kol nidre in the shul and everything's okay. And then give a sacrifice and everything is okay. Well, I remember one time I was teaching in Sephardic, and a guy approached me and he said, Rabbi, if I buy kol nidre for $10,000, whatever it goes for, in the dome, do I have a direct line to God? Could I speak to God directly? I told him, yes. He felt very happy. I told him, you can speak to God directly without the 10 grand either. We read every day in the Ashrei several times, Karov Adonai Lechol Koreav. God is close to all who call him. Asher Yikra'u Be'emet. When you speak to him honestly. It's an amazing thing. The point is, we don't need a Navi. When we open ourselves up to Hashem, speak directly and honestly, then God is close. What does it mean close? It gives you answers. What did the events that happened in order to know how to change, we have to know what went wrong. So it's very clear. The temple became a place where people thought they could just do whatever they want, ethically or unethically, and offer sacrifice, and everything is okay. In fact, the temple, at a certain point, destroyed Torah. The temple, the physical building of the temple, was a hindrance to Teshuvah. Because people looked at the temple, the hard stone of the temple, and said, this will never be destroyed. And it became a hindrance. Yirmiyahu was saying, it's going to be destroyed. It's going to be like Shiloh. They said, what are you talking about? Shiloh was a tent. See those big stones? Can't be destroyed. It became a hindrance. And now is the most tragic, for me, the most tragic chapter of Tanakh. We're going to look at it now. Yirmiyah is with this group that went to Mitzrayim, this group of naysayers, this group that didn't listen to him, this group that asked for God's word, said they're going to listen, and then didn't listen, went to Egypt. Chapter 44, verse 1. Everyone, if you want to look in, you could. If you don't have it, you don't have to. I'll be explaining it. This is what Hashem told Yirmiyah to say to all the Jews that are in Egypt, that didn't listen to his word. Basically, in one word, I told you so. Exactly what I said was going to happen, happened. Right? Verse 2, chapter 44. This is what God said. You saw all the devastation that I brought upon Yerushalayim and all of the cities of Jerusalem. And look at them. They're destroyed today. And they're completely desolate. Because of the evil that you did to infuriate me, to go and to do Avodah Zarah, to burn incense to Avodah Zarah, that you didn't know them, not you and not your fathers. And I sent you my servants, the prophets, day in, day out, and I begged you. They were telling you, don't do this. Don't do this abominable act that I hate. And you didn't listen to me, and you didn't hear them, and you continued sacrificing and serving and doing incense to other gods. And my anger poured out upon you on verse 6. And it burned in the cities of Judah and Yerushalayim, and now they are destroyed and desolate and in ruins. Everything is gone. Look what you did. I mean, no stronger prophecy. I mean, here Yerushalayim is destroyed. All the beauty is just laid to waste. It's a ghost town. I mean, I was saying, you knew it. This happened. That's it. Like if we were living there, we'd say, wow, what a mistake. skipping a little bit, not being galut. Skipping a little bit. Skip now to verse 15 in the same chapter. In the intervening verses, he says, he just recounts some of the prophecies that he said that this is going to happen if you don't listen. So now, this is not talking about what they should do, right? We said Navi is good for a couple of things. One, telling us what we should do, and explaining the past. So they didn't listen about what we should do. When they tell, stay here, don't go to Egypt, they left. Now he's going to tell us what happened in the past, to give us an account of the events. And they answer Yirmiyahu. All the men answered Yirmiyahu. Now these are the men that knew that their wives were the big sacrifices to Avodah Zarah, the big ones that did the incense and and they say to him, all the people living in Egypt, they say, you know what you said about the name of God? We're not listening to you. Verse 16. Hadavar asher dibarta alenu b'shem Adonai einenu shomim elecha. We're not listening to you. Because we're going to continue doing the Avodah Zarah. That to sacrifice, to burn incense to the Queen of the Heavens, the god Venus, in Greek terms. And we're going to pour out libations of wine that we've always done. We have done it, our fathers done it, our kings have done it, our ministers have done it, and Chusat Yerushalayim. And when we did it, we were sated, we had food to eat, and we had good things, and nothing bad happened to us. So we're going to continue. Wow. What a failure. What a failure of the prophet. Here the very people that experienced the destruction say, we're going to continue doing it. Not only that, look at their view of history in the next verse. And if this is the most tragic chapter, this is the most tragic verse. Verse 18. Can anyone read it out loud so we can... anyone read the verse I have in front of them? Carol, you want to read it? Be'ivrit, and then the translation. Okay, translate it.
Let's see, 18. But since we left off burning incense to the Queen of Heaven and pouring out drink offerings to her, we have lacked all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And we this is the next verse. And when
how do they interpret what happened, the destruction? How do they interpret the devastation, the desolateness of Jerusalem? Because we listened to you and stopped doing Avodah Zarah. They don't call Avodah Zarah. When we stopped doing incense to the Queen of Heaven, this Avodah Zarah thing, that's when all our trouble started.
Pretty logical. From their point of view, it's logical.
They say, Yirmiyah tried all his life saying this is going to happen. And then it happens. And they say, it's because we stopped that it happened. What a failure. What a failure Yirmiyah is. He gives the interpretation of history, and that interpretation isn't understood. In fact, the opposite is understood. Obviously, Yirmiyah is not a failure. Because if you had to ask today, no one would say, well, the destruction happened because we stopped giving incense to the Queen of Heaven. Because what becomes part of the Jewish people is Yirmiyah's view and not the people's view. And those people, they peter out. They get assimilated, and we don't hear from them again. The Egyptians that are today, the Egyptians in Egypt, the Jews from Egypt that came, over in the 20th century, they're from a different group. They're not from that group that continued.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were attempts along the way to re-establish in Egypt, and there were different attempts in Egypt, but it wasn't a continuation of this group. So now, Tisha B'Av is a day of national accounting. To do accounting, we have to think about not only what decisions we should make, but how to understand our past. How to understand our past helps us make decisions for the future. We see here, Bnei Yisrael, in Yirmiyah, telling them what to do in the future, they don't listen. What was the meaning of the past, they don't accept it. It's very difficult to know what the meaning of the past is, as we just saw illustrated very clearly. The people disagree with his interpretation of the past, and therefore they won't be able to correct for the future. So when we think about how to correct this problem, if we had to give the problem in our own terms, we said before, the people were thinking that they could sacrifice and clear all iniquity, that they could just bring slaughter a bull, and they commit adultery, thievery, and all that, and lie and cheat, and does that exist in our time today? I mean, I alluded to it. That view of religion, does it exist today?
Yeah.
Okay, unfortunately, it's very common. Unfortunately, people have a magical kind of view of religion, of Torah, that you can, if you give, I remember a line once from Woody Allen, that he says, he wants to, his father always used to buy a seat right up front, close to God, or his father also used to give money to all the religions. This way, he has all the bases covered. Obviously, that doesn't work. Now, we don't have a Navi today, and as Carol pointed out correctly, there are people who try to put themselves up as having this mystical connection to God. But what I want to say today is that we all have that connection. And I think the fact that we don't have a Navi today is because God respects us more. When we, everyone here knows how to ride a bicycle, right? Anyone here not? Does everyone here remember when they learned how to ride a bicycle? Davey, who taught you how to ride a bike? Do you remember?
My dad.
How did he teach you?
Riding behind me,
Holding. Okay. He always held?
No.
He let go.
Let go.
He let go.
When I didn't know.
You didn't know. He let go. How did it feel when he told you, I let go?
Oh, very good.
Right? Whereas at some point in our lives, we need to be let go. Where our parents can help us and tell us what to do, but at some point, we're on our own. And that point might be scary, might be not, but at some point, that's a proper development. I think Hashem has held our hand a lot as a people, given us Nevi'im, given us Chachamim, given us the Torah, and we're living in an age where we have to find out on our own what to do, what the meaning of history is, and how we proceed further in the future. And that's the next part of the class. So the first part, we end up with, just to summarize quickly, Tisha B'Av, Day of National Accounting. Tisha B'Av, a day where we think about what the meaning of what happened going for the future. It's not an easy thing to do. We saw the prophet, Navi Yirmiyah, telling the people what to do, they say he's lying. Telling them the meaning of the past, they say he's completely off base. It's not so easy. But now, I'd like to take it to ourselves and to talk about some of the vast changes that have happened in our time and what the meaning is for us. Okay, it's very hard to speak about the changes that happened. I think one of the most, because some people, could we mention, when you think about historical changes, both as a people and as a world that have come upon in the last century, what big historical changes would you point out as having meaning or demanding us to see what the meaning is? Can anyone come up with?
The advent of technology, how it questioned the rule over the world.
Okay, the technological age. What is the meaning of the technological age?
World War II.
World War
Beginning
II.
of Israel.
The foundation of the state of Israel.
Tremendous challenges. Moral implications.
Well, I want just examples now, not the analysis yet, examples. Technological age, the age of information, the Holocaust, the birth of the state of Israel, American Revolution, the founding of the United States of America, medical advances, longevity always going up, proliferation of democracy and development of democracy throughout the world. What's that? Cloning, the possibility of cloning, cloning. Right now, haven't cloned human beings yet, but they've cloned animals. Sheep.
Plastic surgery.
Okay.
Everyone's changing everything. You can't remember.
The different developments happening in world religions, in Christianity and Islam, and the things that are going on. These are major, major events, and we're going to give the meaning of all of them right now.
In like 10 minutes.
I'm going to take one. Okay, I'm going to take one thing, which is, which for me I think is a critical thing. It's not maybe not the most important, and these, we can, everyone, all the rest of the things, and there's maybe 20 or 30 big ones. Think about that in your own time. Give me an answer next week. But I'd like to take one thing and talk about it now, and I'm going to expand on this point more in my Shabbat class in West Deal, but you're getting a preview. Go ahead.
We might not like there because I'm too far.
Okay.
iPhone.
I believe. Is this on? Good. Good.
Oh, it is?
I believe we're no longer in Galut. I believe we're no longer in exile. What is exile? Think about a person who's in exile. Exile means you're living somewhere, and someone puts you somewhere against your will, and you can't go back. And usually the conditions might be better, might be worse. It's like being in jail. What is jail? You go to jail, you can't go wherever you want, you can't go back to your home. Right? But imagine someone put you, not in jail, but in the Waldorf Astoria, the kosher Waldorf Astoria. Okay? You're in a kosher hotel, everything you want. You can leave whenever you want, go back wherever you want, come home. Would you say, that guy's in jail?
No.
That guy's not in jail.
Is what grossing goes.
Technically speaking, we're not in exile. But I would take it even further. If in the past, for the past thousands of years, our mission as a people was to survive and to persist and to continue. So now we're looking back, after thousands of years of really being in exile, we say, we've survived. But what more do we need to do other than survival? Because we are at a particular state of history where we've been uprooted from our land, be it in Europe or Spain, right, in the modern history. We've been transplanted to other places, and I'm speaking about America. And we're thriving here. As a nation, we're thriving. There's more people studying Torah, there's more Jewish books being published, there's success, financial success, right? And now we have to think beyond survival. We have to think, and there's one more event that I want to put into the pot, and then we'll think about together. And this event was not foreseen, not by the Nevi'im and not by the Talmud. No one spoke about it, and no one speaks about it. I haven't heard anyone speak about it, really. Now, I know that many people are thinking, okay, Ralphie lives in Israel, Zionist, he's going to tell everyone they have to make Aliyah. Right? That's going to be the thing, and they're all going to say, yeah, we should, but we can't. It's good my wife is sleeping because she doesn't like this part of the class. Oh, you're up?
I know it's not.
For the first time in history, let's say the last 100 years, but the last 100 years, something has happened. There is non-ethnic secular nations. There are non-ethnic secular nations. The United States is not connected to any one religion. Anyone can be president. And I mean anyone. It's not anyone can be president. And not only in the United States, in other countries. Of course, not everyone can be king of England, right? Because that's based on. But the King of England has, or the Queen has, very little power.
The future King of England could end up being Jewish.
Okay.
Prince William's wife's
Grandparents
are Jewish. The mother's Jewish. Maternally, their child is going to be Jewish.
Well, we won't give him an aliyah.
That could be.
I don't care, Eddie. We won't give an aliyah. Let him go back to England and get an aliyah over there. We are living in a time where there theoretically can be a Jewish president of the United States, an Orthodox Jewish president of the United States. The goal is not for everyone to come to Israel. And I think we should take a couple of seconds to speak about what is the goal. You know, the Jewish people, it's not just about surviving, and not just about, not just about putting on tefillin or keeping Shabbat. There's a meaning to the Jewish people. There's a goal for the Jewish people, right? And that goal, we say in every tefillah, where we take a part of the Rosh Hashanah prayer and put it in every tefillah because it's the goal. So at the end of prayer, the part where before everyone walks out, is going to go on their day, keep your eyes on the goal. What's the goal?
Are you right to all nations?
We say it in Aleinu. Right? That's taken from the Rosh Hashanah Amidah. And if I had to quote another section from that Amidah, from the Rosh Hashanah Amidah, from the Rosh Hashanah Amidah, we say, and we describe what we want to happen. What is our prayer on Rosh Hashanah? What are we praying for? What do we want Hashem to bring about in the world on this day of the creation of the world? We say, one of the things we say, Ten partecha Adonai Eloheinu al kol ma'asecha. Hashem, give your fear, Hashem our God, give your fear on all your actions. Ve'ematecha, and your awe on everything you've created. Ve'yira'ucha kol ha'ma'asim, and everyone, all creation will be in awe of you and fear of you. V'ishtachavu lefanecha kol ha'beruim, and they'll bow down to you. Now it's not because God is on an ego trip. He doesn't need this. V'ya'asu kulam aguda achat lasot retzonecha b'levav shalem. That everyone will become one unit, one team to do your will. That's our goal. It's the idea, in 2 words, ethical monotheism, to spread the idea that there's one God and He demands ethical behavior. It's very powerful. That's it. It's very succinct. The goal is not necessarily to have a state of Israel. The goal is not necessarily to keep the mitzvot. Those are all means to the goal. The goal is to bring the world to realize we're here to do God's will in the world. And what's God's will? Treat each other right. Do good in the world. That's the goal. And I venture to say, looking at the fact that we have secular, non-ethnic states, that the best way to achieve that goal is not only by everyone coming back to move to Israel. It's an important step, and it's necessary for the overall picture, but it's not for everyone to come back. It's important that we have a chance, that we, the Jewish people, have a chance to see how a Torah society should be run, and we're hundreds of years away from doing that properly. But at least we have a chance to build a Torah society. But along with that example of on a national level, there's the idea of spreading the idea that there is a God, He demands ethical behavior. And if I venture to say, we have to use the situation that we're in, this new situation, the situation of being in a secular ethical state, a secular non-ethnic state. We have to use, and being not just surviving but thriving, we have to go forward and say, where can we, the Jewish people, impact American society, Western societies, and all societies to become ethical and better. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. At least when you hear the major stories that are, the events that you had to, the words Jew and business ethics just don't go together. They don't go together. Unfortunately, in the last years, there were those who made very big headlines, talking about Madoff, okay? A Jewish man, I don't know if he's religious, not religious, I don't know. But, okay, another Jew swindled millions, or I don't know, billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars.
What's his name? Senator.
Even in our own community, I mean, a couple of years ago, around this time of year, there was a big bust in the community, and the chief rabbi of our community was on the, on the television. And why did this happen? And I know this is going to sound critical, but it should, because we're in a day of a national accounting and thinking about how we're not doing our job. Well, I believe it happens because we still think we're in Galut. And we didn't take into account that we're living in a country that's founded on ethical principles. So I can understand when you're living in the Ottoman Empire, and you're living in that, or you're living in Poland, in the time of the Polish Tsars or wherever they had over there, that you try to do everything you can to survive, to pay off bribes, to try to scam the government. I can understand that because that's a matter of survival. But we don't realize the change in history that has occurred, and we just continue that behavior to nowadays and age. We're missing the mark. We're detracting from our goal of getting the world to realize that there is Hashem, there is a Creator. He demands ethical behavior. And that's why it's so important to be always constantly be analyzing history, events, right? And not to be stuck in the conceptions of the last century. We're not in Galut any longer. And we're not in Poland or not in the Ottoman Empire any longer. We're in the United States of America. Whose in the Declaration of Independence of the United States of America is one of the most ethical documents of any founding documents of a state. Ethical and religious, by the way. More religious than the Israeli Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men were created equal. That they were endowed by their Creator with the inalienable rights, amongst them the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Except that they had slaves and they were...
Hold on. No, it's true. Hold on. Listen. Think about that founding document, and then think about cheating the government. This is something that we should be, we should realize. And then the discussions that happened afterwards, was guilty, not guilty, it's less important. Where did it happen? It happens we have to change our foundation, our education, our basic views. And this is so critical for achieving our goal as a people. So, we might say what I said before, we're not in Galut, but Galut is still within us. We are not in Galut. Galut is in us, very deeply ingrained. It's going to be thousands of years of Galut. It's hard to get it out of us, but we're going to have to work to do that. Eitan.
So, how do you address the whole Mashiach issue? Like, if we're not in Galut, and how does Mashiach fit into the whole concept of Geulah in your view of the life that we live in today? Because the whole purpose of Mashiach was really to end the Galut. And if you've ended it, and if you're experiencing it, then where's the excitement? What's the why would we want to bring the Mashiach if it seems like it's kind of unnecessary?
Thank you for the question. I'm going to expand on that on Shabbat, in Shabbat class in the morning, Shabbat morning class at West Deal after the first minyan. But I will, it's a great question. And people who speak about Mashiach, I always tell them, what do you want Mashiach to do? What do you want, like, what's your vision of the Messianic time? What is it? Start doing it. Because what we learned, if you take the idea of Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef came. One could say that Mashiach ben Yosef, the foundation of the state, the secular Zionists, began a movement which led to the foundation of the state of Israel. And what we learned from that major historical event, is that we have to take the steps on our own. We have to move forward ourselves. God's not holding the end of the bike any longer. He's not holding on to us. He's letting us go. Got to pedal. You got to pedal. You got to steer. You got to keep your balance. And that's what the secular Zionists in the Zionist movement, which there was a lot of Zionist philosophy and talk beforehand, but it took a guy like Herzl and the early Zionist Congress to really get things moving forward. It took people like Montefiore and like the Rothschild, Edmund de Rothschild, and people say, we got to start settling the land, building up the land. We're not waiting for any Messiah. So I would tell you, Eitan, as far as Mashiach ben David that we all wait for and hope for, let's start laying the groundwork. Let's start pushing forward. And then there'll be a tremendous event that takes it a step forward. Chaim David Levi, and I'm going to quote this on Shabbat, also more at length, says a bone-chilling, hair-raising statement. Because people didn't listen to the early Zionists that said it's time to go back. But it's because people didn't listen to Jabotinsky, who said there was going to be a catastrophe in Europe. Hashem wanted people back in Israel now. So either it's going to come be'itah in its time, in other words, by people reacting, hearing it, and jumping on the bandwagon and coming and founding the state of Israel. He said that people didn't respond to that in droves. So he had to do achishenna. He had to make it happen fast. And he said, he writes in his book, in one of his letters, Rav Chaim David Levi, a student of Rav Uziel, Rabbi of Tel Aviv in the last in the 50s and 60s, 70s. He says that because people didn't come when it was easy to come, or when they heard it, Hashem made it happen in other ways. So, Eitan, the answer is, let's start making it happen. Okay, let's start moving forward. Yes, Joe.
Am I understanding correctly that you're saying that Galut is really more, like we have the power to put ourselves in and out of Galut? That like for example, like in Germany, back the Holocaust, the Jews there were thriving and doing everything you said we're doing today. They're successful, they're educated, they were learning, there was Torah, there was a lot of secularism as well, and they theoretically could have been in, not in Galut. And then when the worlds came crashing around them, then they had to get out. Then they were in Galut. Then they were out. So like today, I believe the same thing can happen. I believe there can be another Holocaust because who's to say that there won't be? We're supposed to be learning from the past and changing things for the future, but the world is a crazy place, and I don't think it's crazy to say that there could be another catastrophe that happens, and then we will be in Galut. Then we will be saying, why are we here? Let's get out of here. There's always, if you're spiritually intact and we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing and living that life that you were explaining, that we have to influences, or Sinat Hinam, or whatever is going on out within the Jewish people, amongst the Jewish people, that affects all of us anyway, and it kind of puts us back into Galut. So I feel like what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but I feel like it's more of a state of mind. Follow me?
I agree that there's no guarantee. I agree that there were other, maybe what happened in Europe, Jewish people in Germany, even though it wasn't an autonomous Jewish state, which I think is a necessary condition for being out of exile, is having your land to go to,
Oh, because now
right? But I'll take that and say that, and we have to learn from what happened in Germany. What do we have to learn? Doing what we have to do is not just about learning Torah, keeping Shabbat, putting on tefillin, and going to the mikveh. Because part of our mission, that's not what it says in it doesn't say over here that we should put on tefillin and keep Shabbat. When it talks about the goal as a people, our goal as a people is to bring the world to serve together, to serve God as one unit, and to fear God and to do His will. So, when we just say, okay, let them do what they want, we don't care about them, but we're going to study Torah very strong, then we're not doing our mission. And I would say that the position we had in Germany, where we were in the early 20th century, where there was a lot of freedom, emancipation happened in Europe, there was a missed opportunity by the Jewish people in Europe to influence the world, influence Europe and the surrounding countries. We are now at another opportunity, and I don't like to be a doomsday thing. I'm not saying, I'm not going as far. There's no guarantee that it's not happened. I don't want to go as far as saying that will happen. But there's an opportunity for us to influence the world, and it means being proud enough about Torah, being able to promulgate Torah, point out to other religions and other peoples where their shortcomings are, in a proud, self-confident way, and not in a cowering, apologetic way. It requires a lot of work on the part internally on Torah as well, and that hopefully will happen. Or there's some, like this whole program is so vast. There's so much work that has to be done, but we can't say we're not going to do it. I had an insight recently, and then I'll take Michal and then Carol.
Or that it's only can be done in Israel.
Right, but that's the other insight of when Moshe Rabbeinu was told to go and to take the people out of Egypt, what's the goal? What's the goal of that? Get the Torah? Is that the end goal? What's the end goal?
The chosen people, to show everybody.
Do God's will
Right.
in the Shabbat, and that's it.
But if you look at when in Parashat Va'era, what does it say? Right, the four Lashonot HaGeula.
Spread the word that Hashem is God.
Let's
It's the same thing.
let's look at the goal of Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay. לכן אמור לבני ישראל, Hashem tells to Moshe, אני Adonai, והוצאתי אתכם מתחת צבאות מצרים. That's the first cup of wine, right? והצלתי אתכם מעבודתם, I'll save you from the servitude. וגאלתי אתכם בזרוע נטויה, I will redeem you. ולקחתי אתכם לי לעם, and I'll take you as a nation. And now the fifth cup, which והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם, and I'll bring you to the land. And the Seder, which was made primarily in the Galut, in Bavel and so on, and it's not in Bavel, but in the time of Galut, the Heveti is not there. We don't mention the fifth. The Heveti, and I'll bring you to the land. That's the mission statement of Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem to Moshe. That's your job. Does Moshe accomplish his mission? Does he bring them into the land? No, he does not. I'm thinking the Torah, as a piece of literature, as of course is vastly more, the Torah doesn't end with Moshe Rabbeinu achieving his goal. The Torah ends with Moshe Rabbeinu coming close to the goal, not achieving it. This is an insight that I had just recently. It said, the Torah teaches us the very important point. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. You don't have to finish the job. We're in a 1,000-year job. Our people's in a millennia-long job. Everyone has to push it forward a little bit. Everyone has to take that baton, run his race, pass it on to the next. Thousands of years we're doing it. And the Torah ends with Moshe not doing his job, but advancing them almost to it. Yeshua continues, and afterwards it gets continued. So, bring the Mashiach, achieve this goal. This is part of what we're up to. The idea of thinking about the events of world history. Galut, I'm not saying that it's up to us whether we're in or not. No, there are definitely external situations that define whether we're in Galut or not. But I say that now we're no longer in Galut because A, we have an autonomous Jewish state. B, we have freedom. C, we have financial stability as a nation. As much as anyone could have stability in the United States financially today. And so, and now let's do what we have to do, Joe. So it's not a guarantee, it's an opportunity. Susan.
But aren't we still in the diaspora? We could not use the word galut, but we're still all scattered around the world.
Is that good or bad, Susan? Good as defined by a goal.
And is it by choice also?
Well, 1 second.
It's definitely not that most ideal situation because we're still all spread out. Obviously, the most ideal situation that we're all united in Israel, but there's reasons why we're not there.
You ever heard of the company Walmart? You ever heard of the company Walmart?
Yeah.
What is Walmart?
It's a chain.
What is their goal?
To provide products at good prices.
What's their goal? What's their goal?
To make money.
To make money. Good. Okay. How do they make money?
By selling products.
Now, what if all the Walmarts were located in, where is Walmart, the head center of Walmart? No. Bennetville, what if all the Walmarts were located in Bennetville, Arkansas?
Zero.
Is that good? Not good. Why not good?
Not for Walmart, but for us.
So the idea of being dispersed, do you know what the word diaspora means? What is,
Spread out.
well, what's a spore? Do you know what a spore is? Spore. It has to do with botany. Like a seed. It's a seed, right? Diaspora means we're spreading the seeds all over the place. Is it good for a plant to have its seeds spread all over the place? Okay, so that's why the word diaspora is used as a counter to juxtapose with exile. In fact, it's really another term to speak about what I'm speaking about now. That we're spread out. Like there's plant seeds all over the place. That's good. If you're trying to get the word out and trying to have everyone understand that we're supposed to be ethical people, and that's what God wants, the Creator wants. So then it's good to be spread out. It's good to have also a focus at a place. So so it's good. Walmart. Think Walmart. Carol, Michal, and then.
So I apologize before I say it, but not to put you on the spot. However,
Never stopped you in the past.
That's
okay, like
Some disclaimer.
what's an example of Madoff and other people who are maybe not behaving ethically? So everyone over here sits down and feels smug and thinks, "Oh, I never did that," and when you go about and say, so you have to go out and become ethical and spread the word of God, all these things like very nice words. How do you do it when I leave the room today? First of all, I am sure that I'm also tainted with what Madoff did, but I didn't do it on his scale. Maybe I do it on my scale. Where do I do it in my life? And how do I, living in an insulated community or whatever, and maybe even just thinking of my survival, my financial survival, my family's survival, what am I doing tomorrow to make that happen? Practical. These are nice words, but practically, what do you do? And practically, how do I get myself off the hook? I don't want to leave here feeling smug and patting myself on the back. I'm so amazing because I didn't do what Madoff did.
Can I jump in on hers?
Please do.
Because we're sort of doing the same thing. I was going to say, here today we're discussing on a macro level of how to improve the world. and how we have to send the message out. And I think, and I want you to give a class on the micro level, because what I'm seeing here as this summer, I live in the city all year round, and I'm in part of a different community, a Vermont community, whatever, and I'm Syrian and grew up here. But when I come back, 20 years later, whatever it is, and I come see parenting methods, how children behave, how their parents don't know how to teach their children how to behave, I'm horrified. I really feel like the majority, the popular crowd is punishing the minority, which is the good crowd. The good seeds, the good families, the good kids are responding to evil words of other children with physical. So the physical gets punished, but it's the original ones that are the bad seed that need to be put in their place. And it's not that I'm saying they're quote unquote bad, they're not being educated the right way. And those parents are the ones that say, my kid is perfect, my kid is wonderful, nothing's wrong with my kid. And there needs to be someone, a figure that is working within this community to, like you said before in that Yirmiyahu, spin it on its head. Because just like those people spun it on its head, what Hashem's message was, Yirmiyahu said this, and they came out and said, oh, if we worship idols, it would have been this. I find that's what's going on here.
Okay, so
Very irritating.
I think there are two different points, so I would say, first of all, to answer Michal's question, when we understand that this is our mission to bring the world or the people surrounding us to and our children and our families to an idea of ethics, that Hashem demands of us ethical behavior, so that means that everything we do, everything we say, has to be with that focus in mind. That, let's say we can't change on a dime from our, let's say, business practices, but at least we shouldn't brag about it. I used to work in a company, Eddie and I were working in a company, where our job was to make T-shirts, knock-off T-shirt, counterfeit T-shirts of Gloria Vanderbilt and Joe Dash and all these things. Because that, we have to get out of that kind of behavior and not speak about, another company we worked in, both of us together. We weren't involved in these things, but the other company used to speak about how they are making different insurance claims all the time, and the owners of the company would speak about it with their children. And it was part of part of their profit margin and how they would. So now, that is a certain view. So it means that, let's say we can on a dime change and become completely ethical in our business practices, for example. But what should be promoted? What should be spoken about? These things, there should be a goal, but not speak about it and laud that kind of behavior. A. B. In our community, there are certain things that get promoted and certain things that are the models of success in our community. And it's important to provide other models of success and to speak about. And so there's those people who like to drive the fancy cars, and they look around and say, oh wow, he's driving they have these a car called Maserati and Porsche,
Maserati. I'm learning from all the kids.
Right.
Yes,
So now, what if we taught people when they see these kind of cars to think, Chazit,
right, that's what I'm saying.
that guy, that person driving that car needs the car to feel good.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so pathetic. That's so pathetic. Imagine if that became driving a car like that would be like those those people who wear the very heavy gold chains when you see that guy with the heavy gold chain and the big, what do they call it, the rings on the big chunk, what do they call the gold nugget rings or whatever? I hope no one has one. No. And when you're thinking, you say, wow, we already do that. We say, those things must, of course, have been very expensive to buy those big, heavy gold chains. But you look at the guy and say, that's pathetic. It's so gauche. You know that the wealthiest family, how can you tell a very, very wealthy family of old money in England? The furniture is not antique, but old. The carpets are threadbare. They're people that don't have to show they have money. You know, I know a very, very wealthy man who drives around in a Honda Civic. Honda Civic.
It's not you.
It could be. I haven't told you everything about Mark. So I said, well, that is a person who's also wealthy and also doesn't need to show it. That's real wealth. So imagine if in our talking about it, when we see one of these cars, regarding, you have a car that goes 300 miles an hour, but where the maximum speed limit is, 55, 65, right? And say, wow, that guy's pathetic. It's pathetic. I feel bad for him. Yeah, I know. I want it for the safety. Yeah. So it's putting that out as well in that community, of teaching that idea. Has anyone ever heard said about a person that drives one of those fancy cars? Anyone thought to himself, that's pathetic? Well, now start thinking that. Because it's something you could do.
No, what I think is pathetic is when I see a 7-year-old tell a 10-year-old, which I've seen this, wow, is that a Ferrari? He goes, no, it's only a Porsche. Just watch this. So, it's like, how does this 7-year-old even
the discourse?
know?
The discourse we have to have is that kind of discourse. The discourse we have to have is that kind of discourse. What did you want to say?
On a positive note.
Yes.
The way
It's all positive.
No, the way we could show people that bring the light into the world in a small micro way is if you're online in the supermarket and you're rushing everything, let somebody go in front of you, just like that. Especially if you're wearing a hair cover, a thing, please go in front of me. It's
Courtesy.
Okay.
Courtesy.
Right. Don't
Courtesy.
wait for the person to cross the street if he's crossing slow and stop. And 2 incidences where I had to tell you, the light into the world for the Judaism, it affected me tremendously. In Florida, I have a Haitian house day worker that comes to me. And when they had the earthquake in Haiti, right, if the Zakar people were in Mexico, ran there to help save the students in the college, or to help, they built up a triage and they were rescuing people. And I had the valet, the woman valet was bringing up, she's an American blonde, bringing up the groceries for me, and on the television they were saying that they were arresting the American missionaries for so, and the woman, the valet says, why, they only came to help, and the Haitian says, no, you can't steal our children, we have rules, look at the Israelis, and she didn't know anything from me being Jewish or anything. They came to help us, only to help us. And that, to me, was a light to the world. Like that. Someone else noticed it. They weren't missionaries trying to grab children to their cause, but they were trying to help. And that's, the more you try to help everyone, and as far as cars, some of them like cars. It's okay. It's okay.
Right. Nachman sees the car issue in a totally different way.
Okay.
He sees it as, or gathering wealth, or money, or whatever. He sees it as, it's a sign of life. It's a sign of people wanting to get ahead. It's a sign of love of not just rubbing or whatever, but it's a healthy sign of wanting to be alive. So,
no, you can enjoy your wealth.
Okay, I don't think he spoke about the car, but I think that it's you can enjoy your wealth, but it's if it's done for that reason of being a status symbol, because a lot of times it is a status symbol, and you can't deny that. And if it's done for status, I think it's pathetic. But what the second point you wanted to say about the other example?
No, the marathon that I told you about
Yes.
In the thing, a woman, she was running the marathon. She came from Texas or something. Her name was Susan Taylor. I don't know if anyone who got the Disney World marathon that they had. And she read about Bichur Halim, and she wrote a letter to Charles Anthony requesting to please. She couldn't believe all the work Bichur Halim is doing, and she wanted to be invited to the Shabbat dinner and to join us there. And she wasn't Jewish at all. And she read about it on her own, about the marathon. That, to me, was a tremendous light to the world. And if this continues to happen, on our own, we could do merits that are going to involve the whole world.
Small things. If the action is to bring about ethical monotheism, small things. Identify Jewishly, first of all. Identify Jewishly, very critical. Be proud to be Jewish wherever you are. And then hold yourselves to the standards, hold ourselves in every action that we do to the standards. Hashem is now counting on us in whatever context we're in to advance it forward. Be it in college, be it in high school, be it in business, be it wherever we are, be it in the supermarket, be it wherever we are, whatever we're dealing with. We're one of the people advancing this mission a little bit forward, and a lot of small actions have an effect. So, analyzing history, knowing what happened, and what could happen, and what should happen, is very difficult to do. It's an ongoing process. We spoke a little bit about it in terms of the national level. What are some events where we are now, and in my opinion, what should be our next stage as a people? We brought that down, thanks to Michal's question, to the individual level, about acting in our own areas to advance the idea of ethical behavior and spiritual behavior. And the same thing can be done on one's individual personal life, where events in one's life need to be analyzed and looked at as far as where your goal is. And that's for another time, another place, another class. Maybe we'll have another time where we speak about that. But it's also an important step of how Hashem speaks through us, through history, major events, and also through personal events. We should all, B'ezrat Hashem, hear the word of Hashem, and next year, this day will be a holiday, a happy day, because we'll have used the accounting that we've done as a nation to change ourselves, to improve ourselves, and to have the Mashiach really come, and that's a step beyond not being in Galut.